Okay
Pag
po, ma'am.
nag-register po kami.
Okay po.
Thank you.
Balikan po namin kay mamaya. Thank you, Ma'am Alma.
I run a busy team, and Monday.com has transformed the way we work together. We started off using Monday.com to track and manage our projects. But because it's so easy to work with, we began using it to plan marketing.
Ano kay Sir Ayan?
Ang nasend na ako sa imo atong resume sa South Korea speaker.
Okay, sir. Copy.
Kay Lim, nasend naman po to, di ba?
Opo. Sabi na lang kayo. Sir, paano kayo pronounce kay, ano sir, kay Alpahando? Alpahando or Alpahando?
P, na-change na siya Alpahando.
P, letter P?
Oo.
Okay, okay.
Alpahando. Nagtumali siya sa Singapore, di ba, nga speaker?
Yes, sir.
That's for November 12.
Yes, sir.
I hope na ano na ni Jay, sir, ang sa live.
Yes, sir. Naga-live streaming na ta, sir, via YouTube.
Okay, very good. Ang katong ang requirements for certificate, di ba? Mag-like sila, mag-share.
Share and comment.
And comment.
Pero sir, sa YouTube, dili ta pwede makapa-sounds kay na copyright issue daw po. So, gistap na lang po yung ayan.
Pero madunggan nila.
Yes, sir. Itong conversation natin, naririnig doon sa live streaming.
Pwede sila dito maka-like.
Yes, sir. Pwede maka-comment. Opo.
Okay. I-remind lang sila kay requirement naka-memorize mo na ang amount ng ikuan.
Opo.
Asa na po rin mo? Ha? Pagkaon sa DRB, wala na ka nag-ano arba o tanawa. Mapas mo gani ka pag sunpas mo nimo ubo na ka. Wala daw sound sa YouTube, April.
Dali lang, sir. Akong paano si Sir J, sir. Sir J, sir. Wala daw pong sound ang YouTube.
April na ako gi-text sa imo.
Okay po.
I-contact na siya na lang. Naaman yata siya, nakapasok man yata siya, si Alvin.
Sige po, sir. Sir Lito, okay man po daw ang YouTube. Naririnig daw po, sir. Okay. Sir Ayan, pwede na bang makita ang ating presentation? We will have now the introduction of participants para later, right after the introduction, tuloy-tuloy na ang ating webinar. Time check, it's already 8:45 in the morning. Okay, good morning, everyone. I welcome you all to this webinar for effective distance education for social science teachers during turbulent times. This is now our second webinar with this title, pero iba po ang ating mga participants ngayon. We are having the elementary teachers of the Jensen Division. Sila po ang participants natin today. Because last November 5, we had our senior high school teachers. And for November 12, the last webinar for this effective distance education for social science teachers ay mga junior high school na naman po ang ating mga participants. Okay. So let's have this introduction of participants first. As I call your district, you type your name and your school sa ating pong chat box para makita ko po kung sino po ang mga nakapasok na at sino po ang mga wala pang participants, no? Kanina may mga lumabas ng Google Meet to give way to our speakers kasi mahirap po na hindi sila makapasok. Wala pong magtotalk para sa atin. Maraming salamat po doon sa mga nag-give way at doon na lamang po sila sa ating live streaming sa YouTube. Good morning din po sa ating mga nakatutok sa ating live stream. I hope na dyan lamang kayo hanggang magtapos ang ating webinar ngayong araw. Okay, so let's start. From the Kahelsot District, may I know from the Kahelsot District, please pakitype sa ating chat box ang inyong mga names and your school para makita natin kung sino-sino ba ang mga nakapasok from Kahelsot District. Okay, parang walang nagtatype from Kahelsot District. Nako. Kahelsot Elementary School.
Kalumpang.
Kalumpang Elementary School should be in this district. Pero it seems that hindi pa sila nakapasok sa Google Meet or baka hindi na talaga nakapasok sa Google Meet because Google Meet only 100 lamang ang nakikater. So baka nasa ano na sila, no? Live streaming. We are just hoping. Okay, next from Romana C. Acharon District. Romana C. Acharon District, may I know? Teachers from Romana C. Acharon District. Parang wala ding nakapasok from Romana, Sir Lito. You will take note.
Permanente na lang yun na sila.
Okay, take note natin po ang mga district na hindi pa po
Romana and Kahelsot.
Yes, sir. Pero I will check doon po sa ating YouTube streaming, baka nandun po sila nakapasok. Okay, how about from South Fatima District? South Fatima. Okay, hello Ma'am Shalame from Blagan, Ma'am Juliet Batak, Ma'am Lorena Fahartin, good morning. Ma'am Michelle Duo, hello po. Okay, we also have Ma'am, ang bilis, Ma'am Marife Flores. Okay, Ma'am Vita Aude, good morning Ma'am. Okay, Vency Vanessa Bonilla, hello po. Okay, Ma'am Christy Castillo, ayan, marami-rami sila. How about from Pedro C. Acharon District? Pedro Acharon District? There, Ma'am Gladys, Ma'am Catherine, Ma'am Shella Joy Pascual, Ma'am Venus, Ma'am J. Marie Pelesco. Hello, Ma'am. Good morning. Ma'am Priscilla Oclarit is present. How about from Connell District? Connell? There, ang bilis. Ma'am Rachel, Ma'am Sarah, Ma'am Muhaira, Ma'am Dahlia, Ma'am Arlene, Ma'am Jeffrey, Sir Ian Paul, young boy. Really, young boy. Okay, thank you so much. From Katangawan District. Okay, po si Ma'am Marcia Tiberio. Hello, Ma'am. Katangawan, Ma'am Mary Cristabel Espina, Ma'am Vency Vanessa Bonilla. Wala na ba from Katangawan? Wala na po ba? Sila lamang? Okay, sige. Next, let's have from General Santos City North District. North District, may I know participants? North District, ayan, humabol pa po si Ma'am Catherine Antiporta. Hello, Ma'am, good morning. North District, Okay, Ma'am Kristen May Fimangco from North District. Ayan. Nakahabol pa si Ma'am Christine. Good morning, Ma'am. How about from Apopong District? Apopong? Okay, Ma'am Kiwi, Aubrey, Ma'am Rose Ann, Ma'am Nona, Ma'am Annalie Macapar. Okay. Nona Star kasi ang nakalagay sa kanyang email. Okay, yun lang po ba ang galing sa Apopong District? Okay, let's proceed. Let's have from Buayan District. Buayan? May I know po kung sino po nakapasok dito from Buayan. Ma'am Lourdes Agreda. Hello, ma'am. Si Ma'am Lourdes lang ba from Buayan? Nag-iisang siya? Parang wala na yatang from Buayan, no? How about from South District? General Santos City South District. Ayan, Ma'am Carissa, Ma'am April Joy, Ma'am Marites. Dami nila, oh. Okay. How about from North Fatima District? Okay, Ma'am Aaron Gonzalez, Ma'am Joyce Pilaco, Ma'am Beverly Babes, Ma'am Nathaniel, Ma'am Sherry. Okay, thank you po. Good morning. How about from Tambler District? Tambler District, parang sila yata ang hindi masyado nakakapasok, Sir Lito. Kahit pa po noong mga una nating webinars po, parang wala po masyadong taga-Tambler District, sir.
Si Farsi. Taga-Tumblr man si Farsi. Wala na, dili siya makontak.
Nakapasok po ba si Sir Farsi? Sige. Parang wala si Sir Farsi, sir ba? Okay, sige. Take note ko lamang po dito, Sir Lito. Nakahabol pa si Ma'am Rebecca from Labangal District. Good morning, Ma'am. Okay, next. Let's have from Labangal District. Ayan, nauna na si Ma'am Gloria, si Ma'am Eva. Ang dami na mga taga-Labangal. Ma'am Josephine, Ma'am Irish, Ma'am Midzi Faye. Good morning. Ma'am Tita Motas. Hello po. Okay. Let's have Bula District. Bula. Okay, hello Ma'am Lolita Andong from Labangal. Bula District, Ma'am Maria Lynn, Orlaine Deloso. Ma'am Juvie Milan. Okay. Silang dalawa lang from Bula District. And last but not the least, from West District. West. There. Please, Ma'am Ana Portia Bonita, Ma'am Elsa Urong. Si Ma'am Joylene. Ayan. Si Ma'am Julian Reyes. Ma'am Nenet Gualisa. Ayan po. Good morning po. Ay na sir dito, natawag ko na po lahat ng mga district sa ating division. Ang wala pong attendance ay ang galing sa Kahilsot, sa Romana, and sa Tambler District. Sila po ang mga wala pong nag-pop up na names kanina habang tinatawag ko po ang kanilang district.
So, Tumblr, Romana at saka Kahilsot.
Ma'am Everlyn Burses, good morning po. Ma'am Jesusa Fernandez from Katanggawan. Yes sir, Kahilsot, Romana, and Tambler District po ang wala.
Siguro yung mga teachers na nandyan na nakapasok, may mga friend man siguro yan sila doon.
Yes,
Kasi sayang ang opportunity, pero kung wala talaga, ayaw talaga lang pumasok at sumali, wala tayong magawa. But I have to submit their district to when we have our MANCOM kayong superintendent.
Okay po, sir. Okay, then hello there sa atin pong live streaming sa YouTube. Please, mag-comment po kayo for your attendance, your name, complete name, your organization, and your district. Sa mga naka-live stream po, mag-comment po kayo ng inyong pangalan, ng inyong school, and ang inyong district. para po malaman namin na kayo po ay nanonood dyan sa ating live streaming. Okay?
4 minutes na lang tayo, April, then we'll start.
Yes, sir. It's already 8:56. Then we will start our webinar. Our first speaker is here already, very early. Okay, humahabol pa si Ma'am Grace from Connell District. Okay. Sir Mark Javier, pwede daw pong ipasa sa ating chat box ang link ng ating live streaming. Sir Mark. Para daw po ma-send nila sa iba at maka-view. Ayan, si Ma'am Cecilia Mejia from Pedro Acharon District. Hello, Ma'am. Ayan, pinasa po ni Sir Ali Fermin, Ali Kadafi Fermin ang link ng ating live streaming as well as Sir John Mark Javier. Pinasa din niya po sa ating chat box. Pwede niyo pong i-click yan para po makita niyo ang ating live streaming sa YouTube. Thank you, Sir Fermin, for helping sa ating live streaming para mas mapadali po ang ating pag-stream via YouTube. Thank you so much for your helping hands. Okay. So, Sir Ayan, please have the presentation now. Okay, so we will start our webinar. Pag-awit po ng ating pambansang awit, followed by a prayer to be led to us by Sir Alvin Makadagum, and followed by the DepEd Vision, Mission, and Core Values. Sir Alvin, stand by, Sir Alvin. Sir Alvin, let's have the prayer now.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Let us bow our head and put ourselves in the holiness of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Dear Almighty and Father and ever-loving God, we glorify and thank thee your name. You have showered us with so much blessings, and your presence continuously remind us of your faithfulness and guidance. We this may humbly ask you to shower our speakers today of your greatest inspiration so that we may share the most of their knowledge, heart, and soul to their respective topics. May we also absorb the invaluable knowledge and experiences and put into practice what we learned today. We pray that you bless all the committees in charge, that they may be also to fulfill their task responsibly, and the objectives they have set may all be achieved. Your infinite blessing would mean the success of this seminar. May, be, may we be a living witness of your genuine love through the enactment of knowledge acquired through this activity. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
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 At makabansa.
Okay, thank you, Sir Ayan. So once again, I welcome you all to this webinar for effective distance education for social science teachers during turbulent times. This morning, we're going to have two speakers, and later this afternoon, another two, the caliber speakers. Mamimit po natin sila later on. But first, let's all listen to the welcome address by our education program supervisor in Araling Panlipunan, none other than the man in his shoal, Sir Lito S. Adanza. Morning, sir.
Good morning. Grabe si April. Oh. Very fresh looking. Good morning to our international invited speakers from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. They will be introduced later by Miss April from Intira, our moderator.
Cambodian, sir.
To
Cambodia.
no,
Saudi Arabia.
from Cambodia pala, from the Kingdom of Cambodia. And to our participants in the elementary and those who are joining from secondary, to our schools division superintendent in the person of Sir Romilito G. Flores, SO 5, to our assistant schools division superintendent, Sir Carlos Osarno, PhD, to our chief of the curriculum and implementation division, Ma'am Juliet Folion Lastimosa, to the members of the TW group. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. This is our third series of seminars conducted. We have last November 4, last November 5, and this is the third, November 8, and we have still coming for November 12. We are doing this one despite the turbulent times, the crisis that we are experiencing today, for all our teachers, for retooling, upscaling of our teachers. We would not allow ourselves to be behind what is happening in the country and even countries in the world. So we need to be upgraded and retool for our learning as teachers, especially we are teachers, social science teachers, or Araling Panlipunan teachers. As mentioned by April, we invited our speakers to be with us this morning. Dalawa po sila. And I am asking you to be patient and listen attentively so that we can benchmark best practices from these speakers from other countries that we can apply also to our schools, though we are experiencing this crisis today. So in behalf of the Department of Education, General Santos City, our Schools Division Superintendent, our Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, our CID Chief, we would like to welcome you all to our webinar today. God bless and good morning.
Thank you so much, Sir Adanza, for that welcome address. Without you, sir, this webinar will not be realized because kayo naman po talaga ang kung sa Bisaya pa, nangamot aning webinar, no? All we have to do is to participate and cooperate with you, our dear supervisor. Okay, so since our heads cannot give us a message, Doc, no? Busy sila, Doc, and it's Sunday. So, mention na lang po natin ang ating butihing Chief Curriculum Implementation Division, Ma'am Juliet Lachenanza.
All we have to do is
our newly installed ASDS, Sir Carlos Osarno, and our SDS, Sir Romelito G. Flores, CES of 5. Okay, so let's have now our conference call rules of engagement. So number 1, throughout the duration of the webinar, please use the mute button when not speaking. Number 2, keep background noise to a minimum. Number 3, there is a limited time allotted for questions. Kindly wait for the speakers to finish. Number 4, use raise hand function during open forum in the chat box for inputs and comments. Number 5, always identify yourself and your organization first before speaking. And number 6, when speaking, mind your time in consideration to others. We also have our open forum rules. Number 1, use raise hand function during open forum in the chat box for other inputs and comments. Number 2, identify yourself and your organization first before speaking. And number 3, when speaking, mind your time in consideration to others. Okay? So let me remind you, lalong-lalo na po ang mga participants natin who are using their cell phones, please po, maging ano po tayo sa pagpindot ng ating camera and ating microphone kasi minsan po ang iba ay nakakapag-share. No, baka ma-overlap po natin ang presentation ng ating speakers. And let me introduce to you our management team behind this webinar. Of course, we have our EPS in AP, Dr. Lito Ezadanza, Ma'am Emily Baculi, Sir Ian Morante, Sir John Mark Javier, Sir J. Sir John Arsenal, Sir Michael Adam, and yours truly, Ma'am April G. Formentera. We also have Sir Felix Billion, our SEPs in M&E, and we also have Dr. John Michael P. Castino, our SEPs in Senior Education Program Specialist, Human Resource Development. Okay po. Okay, so without further ado, I assume our first speaker for today is ready. Kanina pa po siya nandito. Yung makikita at malalaman na natin ang kanyang topic na i-share sa atin. Okay. So, as you can see sa ating presentation, siya po ang ating magiging first speaker for today. And he is the ESL coordinator for Primary Footprints International School. And ang ibibigay niya po sa atin na topic is about professional development for teachers in times of pandemic. Okay, so let us all welcome, fresh from the Kingdom of Cambodia, Sir J. Ian L. Capungan. Sir J. Ian, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, sir.
Good morning from the Kingdom of Cambodia. Time check, it's 8:11 a.m. here.
Wow. Thank you.
So, can I start my presentation or?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, good morning, everyone. I hope it's clear and I hope everybody can hear me. To the members of the technical working group, if in case there are technical problems, please interrupt me so I can fix it. Thank you so much. So I'd like to introduce myself. I am J. Ian L. Capungan. I am originally from, of course, the same city like all of you. I'm from General Santos City, the Philippines. I moved to the Kingdom of Cambodia in the year 2011. Uh, and currently, I'm on my 9th year as a teacher here in the Kingdom of Cambodia. Previously, I worked as a volunteer of La Guilde in Paris, France, and I was based here in Cambodia. And I've also worked in various international schools. And now I am the English as Second Language Coordinator for primary of the Footprints International School here in the Kingdom of Cambodia. I'm very sorry that I cannot share to everyone the professional development for teachers. Hence, I changed my presentation last minute to integrating 21st century skills, basically the critical thinking into exploration of culture. I believe that this is more important for us as we face a new normal, and as every one of us, teachers, students, and everyone in the community, I believe this is important for us to be aware of everybody's culture. May it be cultures from the same country like us Filipinos, or cultures in another countries. Also today, I might be speaking both English and Tagalog language, or I might also speak Bisaya if you guys want me to speak Bisaya. Okay, thank you. All right, let me start my presentation. So, may I ask everyone to share something about culture? Okay, culture in Cambodia actually is not really different from the Kingdom of Cambodia, from the Philippines, because we share the same values because we are from the same region. We are actually from Southeast Asia, and the culture here is not really different from our culture. Okay, now for everyone, I want you to share what do you think culture is, and please write it on the chat box, and later I'm gonna read one by one. Okay, so what is culture? So the word culture is used frequently and not just by language teachers or cultural specialists. Pretty much everyone feels comfortable using the term, but how can we define it? Now this time I invite you to define the term culture. Okay, let me see what goes in the chat box. All right. I hope everyone can send their information of what do they think culture is. I know this is very familiar for everyone as we are all teachers of social studies. So I guess you have guys your own idea of what is a culture. All right, I have here culture is a way of life. Very good. I love that definition. Anybody else who can share what is a culture? It's beliefs. Thank you, Sir Lito. Okay, these are our beliefs. Okay, some more? Okay, so I'm gonna read some of your comments in the chat box later as we proceed with our presentation. Okay. So how did it go? What does your definition include? Right, when you start really thinking about culture, you realize that it includes or at least influences nearly everything in the human experience. Anthropologist John H. Bodley defined culture as what people think, make, and do. This broad definition has been developed in further detail by what is called the 3P model of culture. So we have here, under the 3P model of culture, we have the perspectives, the practices, and the products. Now, let us look at each of these. We begin with discussing about perspectives. Perspectives describe what members of a culture think, feel, and value. This includes ideas about what is important in life and beliefs about how younger people should relate to older members of society. Perspectives define what members of a particular culture consider appropriate and an inappropriate behavior. Next one, we have practices. Perspectives shape practices. Practices include the traditions and typical behaviors in a culture. The way people communicate can differ greatly from one culture to another, not just in terms of language, but also what people talk about, how direct they are when communicating, the gestures they use, their use of eye contact. Practices include other behaviors as well, from the formal, for example, wedding ceremony traditions, to the informal, such as how people dress and eat on a day-to-day basis. Now, we have products. Food is often the first cultural product that people think of when they think about other culture. The special foods associated with a particular culture are often the first thing someone unfamiliar with the culture learns about. Other cultural products include clothing, music, and literature. Culture is strengthened through its expression. People think the more people engage in traditions and ways of living of their culture, the more that cultural perspectives, practices, and products are reinforced. A tradition that has been practiced for hundreds of years is a very strong tradition. Culture is not static. However, on the contrary, culture is dynamic. A culture's perspectives, practices, and products can change over time. This is particularly likely when there is contact between cultures. In today's globalized world, most people have encounters with members of other cultures. And for many people, this is on a regular basis. These encounters happen in social, political, and commercial contexts. It is therefore important for people in all areas of their lives to be able to interact successfully with people who are from cultures that are different from theirs. This ability is called intercultural competence. Intercultural competence is needed for people from different cultures with their different values, practices, and ways of communicating to avoid conflict and misunderstanding. Intercultural competence requires people to be flexible in their thinking and to recognize that people are complex. To see people in ways that are simple and not complex is to stereotype people. Intercultural competence is not an all or nothing ability. People have different levels of intercultural competence among themselves and from context to context. People's intercultural competence will be more or less effective depending on their familiarity with the particular culture they are encountering and the particular stereotypes that they may believe. No one can be completely prepared for all the intercultural experiences they will have in the future. And so, intercultural competence requires flexibility. It requires the ability to think critically about differences. Critical thinking is also necessary to negotiate differences and use strategies to minimize conflict and misunderstanding. As teachers, we are preparing our students for future intercultural encounters. In order to understand differences, the first step is to understand different from what? A necessary step in developing intercultural competence is to have a very clear understanding of oneself as a cultural being. That is, we need to understand what our own culture is and how it affects us day to day. The development of intercultural competence is an ongoing process. It never ends. We will explore our own cultural perspectives as well as other cultural perspectives. This will put us in an excellent position to help our students go through a similar process. Why do people from different cultures sometimes have misunderstandings or conflicts? Now, that is because they can interpret the same thing differently. Some behaviors that are polite in one culture can seem rude in another culture. Clothing that is very nice in one cultural context can be entirely inappropriate in another. People from any two cultures should be able to make the same observations about someone's behavior or clothing, but their interpretations of them could be different. This is because they attach different cultural meanings to what they observe. Cultural meaning is symbolic. We do not see events and objects just for what they are. We attach symbolic meaning to it. For example, instead of simply seeing clothing on a particular color and style, we can interpret it to indicate that a person is a policeman or a baker. These professionals' uniforms have symbolic meaning to all who know how to interpret them. Gestures and actions take on symbolic meaning when through a cultural lens. Greetings, for example, vary widely from culture to culture. How should you greet a particular person? Do you shake hands, wave, give a kiss on the cheek? Is a hug appropriate? Do you bow? The rules vary widely around the world. Interculturally competent people will adjust their behavior according to the context they find themselves in. Greetings are formulaic. The right way to greet different kinds of people can usually be described in a few rules. Other cultural differences are more general and are the result of differences in values. One such difference is the difference between what are called high context and low context cultures. High context cultures are ones where the members of those cultures share a lot of context in common. From one member of a high context society to another, there is a lot they can assume that they have in common. Most cultures in Latin America, the Middle East, and Asia are considered high context cultures. When they communicate, they use the full context to understand a message. It's not just the words that matter, but also how the words are said, in what context. They assume a shared understanding. This means that many things may be left unsaid. In a low context culture like the United States of America, messages are made explicit through words. Speakers do not leave keywords or key parts of the message unsaid, and what is said is interpreted more literally. That is one axis along which cultural differences are described. Today, we will look at two more. The next one concerns cultural attitudes towards time. The two extremes are called monochronic and polychronic. In monochronic cultures, such as in North America and Northern Europe, time is viewed as linear. People prefer to do only one thing at a time. Schedules are not flexible, and time is considered a valuable commodity. In fact, saying is, time is money. Let's look at what a meeting would look like in a monochronic culture. There will be an agenda. The first agenda item will be dealt with first. During that time, people will only talk about that item and should not bring up topics related to other agenda items. When an agenda is finished, the topic will be left behind, and people should not return to that topic during the meeting. If any of these rules are broken, members of the meeting may feel like the rule breaker is wasting the time. People from polychronic cultures in much of the Middle East, Latin America, and Sub-Saharan Africa will tend towards first. They focus on tasks or activities, not skills. If a task takes a little bit longer, they prefer to stay with the task and give it the time it needs. They are more likely to multitask. For them, mixing personal activities and work activities is not a problem. The last major cultural difference that we will look at today is collectivism versus individualism. In a collectivist society, your strongest identity is with the group you belong to. Your individual identity is less important. The group may be your family, your workplace, or your national identity. If the group's needs conflict with your individual needs, you will be expected to sacrifice or give up your individual needs for the group. In collectivist societies, long-term relationships built on trust are very important. People in individualist societies are the opposite. They may be willing to sacrifice personal relationships if that is necessary for personal gain. Because of this, relationships outside of their nuclear family are less important. Written contracts in these societies are very important documents for defining relationships between many people. Based on this description, what cultures do you think are collectivists and which are individualists? It can be very useful to understand these differences in motivations and values that are generally true between certain cultures. But an important word here is generally. These generalities help us understand people's motivation, but we must be careful not to overgeneralize about people. People are always complex, and there are always differences among the members of any group of people. These cultural tendencies can help us understand people's motivations, but they should not lead us to stereotype them or view them in a simplistic way. As we've been discussing, culture influences every aspect of person's life. Intercultural encounters can therefore be a site of conflict and misunderstanding in terms of emotional issues, stereotypes, and a difference in values. This does not necessarily need to be the case, however. Intercultural encounters can be very positive and can enrich the lives of all involved. Intercultural competence is needed to make intercultural encounters more likely to be positive. An essential part of intercultural competence is the ability to think critically. Critical thinking is necessary for understanding perspectives other than one's own and for effective problem solving. Since we have examined the difference between high context and low context cultures already through the topic intercultural or encounters, many examples in the next part will use this contrast to illustrate the main points. Okay, these are some of the aspects of critical thinking. Examines assumptions, is free from bias and prejudice, distinguishes fact from opinion, imagines and explores alternatives, is based on universal intellectual values, and critical thinking is a process. Also, it can be learned and taught. Now we will start with critical thinking examines assumptions. Many of the assumptions that we have are based on our culture. For example, a person from a low context culture may assume that it is always better to be direct when speaking. A person from a low context culture needs to be critically aware of this assumption, especially when dealing with people from high context cultures. We have many attitudes and assumptions that are deep culture elements and are very hard for us to see. Because of this, being aware of all of our assumptions is a difficult task that requires discipline and work. The next one is critical thinking is thinking that is free, as free as possible from bias and prejudice. Because different values are expressed in different ways, people from high context cultures are likely to consider people from low context cultures too blunt. At the same time, people from low context cultures are likely to consider people from high context cultures too secretive. Critical thinking requires us to understand things in their context. The next one is critical thinking distinguishes fact from opinion. Because of different assumptions and different styles of communication, it is common for someone from one culture to think that people from another culture are rude. But this is just an opinion, not a fact. Very often, the behavior that appears rude to one person is entirely appropriate behavior within certain cultural contexts. The next one is critical thinkers imagine and explore alternatives. As we are seeing, it is necessary to understand other people's point of view to fully understand any situation. To understand someone's intentions, it is necessary to understand their perspectives. Now, critical thinking is based on certain universal intellectual values. We have clarity, accuracy, consistency, depth, breadth, and fairness. Clarity is that we must think clearly. Accuracy is we must not base our thinking on incorrect information. Consistency is if we apply a rule to one context. We must apply that rule to all similar contexts. Depth, considering only surface information is not enough. Breadth, we must consider a wide range of information. And fairness, of course, we need to be fair. All of this require careful thinking, time, and a reduction of bias. Now, the next one is critical thinking is a process. From the points mentioned, we can see that critical thinking takes time and effort. It is a process. It does not happen in an instant. Critical thinking can be learned and can be taught. In part because critical thinking is a process. Critical thinking is a skill that improves with practice. Critical thinking can be described and broken down into steps. And this is how critical thinking can be taught. Specific techniques that are used to teach critical thinking include discussion, problem-based task, and the use of small groups. It is interesting to note that these teaching techniques are also frequently cited as particularly good ways of teaching languages. Now, in this next part of my presentation, we are going to practice or try to dig deeper on our individual identities. As you can see on the screen, we have here the Identities Wheel activity. Everyone participates in microcultures. Different aspects of our identity connect to the different microcultures that we are members of. In this task, you will explore different aspects of your identity. The Identities Wheel is a visual tool to help you think about the different roles that you play and the various characteristics that you have, which define who you are. Now, look at this example wheel diagram. Okay, so I'd like to request everyone to please respond on the chat box. We are going to explore our identities by answering some of the parts in this identities wheel. I want to see responses on the chat box. Let's start with, what about your favorite music? Anybody who can share to me your favorite music? Any favorite music? Do you like pop, or do you like foreign music, or are you a an advocate of original Filipino music. Reggae. Someone said reggae. Wow, they like reggae. Sir Ian Paul likes reggae. Country songs. Okay, so I guess you like Taylor Swift for country songs. Mellow rock. Okay, some more? Anyone who can respond on favorite music? Classic. Oh, Ma'am Edna Vilches said classic. Let's move to the next one. What about your birth order? Can you share something about your birth order? For me, I am the firstborn in the family, so I'm the eldest child. The second, the youngest. Wow, the seventh child in the family. The fifth and the youngest. Okay, now can you share us the number of siblings? Your number of siblings. 4, 7, 3, 8, 10. Wow, I love it. Everybody is participating in our activity. Now let's move to the next one. What about your personal motto? This is quite personal because, you know, a motto can be something that you really live to. That's what you believe and that's what you imbibe to do in your life. Live life to the fullest. Wow, that's so great. Because you only live once, right? Ang buhay ay parang gulong ng palad. It sounds like a song. Very nice. Hope, hold, endure. God love above all. Anybody else? Now, this is very easy. Usually, we ask our kindergarten students about this one. What about your favorite color? Pink, red, blue, yellow. All right, pink, blue. Okay, sometimes we stereotype colors based on gender. Pink is usually or commonly associated with females, and blue is commonly associated with male. Okay, red, green, black. Oh, green is life. Okay, what about your favorite hobby? Someone else can share their favorite hobby? Eating. Eating is now a hobby? Reading, I love it. Okay, cooking, playing badminton, photography, planting. Where are the plantitos and the plantitas there? Wow, planting. In this time of pandemic, planting became one of the best or the most popular hobby. Okay, what about the favorite food? Can you share us your favorite food from other cultures that you have encountered? Kare-kare, dried fish, chicken, ha ha ha. Okay, chicken satay, Malaysian and Singaporean food. Nilaga, pinakbet, biryani from the Indian cultures, caldereta, spaghetti, very common. Lumpiang Shanghai, tinolang manok. Wow, it makes us all hungry now at this time. Kebab. Okay. Arabian foods. Carbonara, shawarma. Okay. Thank you very much. Let's move before we become hungry. Now, what about your favorite book? Can you share us your favorite book? Favorite book that you really read and remember from time to time, even on your daily lives, you remember that kind of book, and sometimes you take the Bible. Okay. Life. Rizal. There are plenty of books written about Rizal. Slow by Lauren Pizza. The Bible. Wow, a lot of people love reading the Bible because it is the supreme book of all. Okay, The Other Side of Midnight by Sidney Sheldon. Just post your answers on the chat box and I'll try to read them as they pop up on my tab. Okay, what about your favorite movie, everyone? Anyone who can share us their favorite movie? Drama. Okay, Titanic, The Lion King. Which one? Which Lion King? The animated or the live action? The Proposal. Oh, Titanic, the best movie of all time. Oh, what is this Popoy and Basha? What is this movie all about? The Legend. Oh, Ghost. A Walk to Remember, Twilight Saga, The Notebook, Crudes. Okay. I love everybody's participation. Okay. Now, what is one skill you are proud of? One skill that when you go to another country and share your culture to them, what is one thing or one skill you are proud of? Friendly. This is very common to all Filipinos because we are really friendly type of people. Hospitable. Yeah, that's really true, to the point that we give up our own comfort just so others can have their utmost comfort. Hospitable or hospitality. All right, what else? Thoughtfulness. We are very thoughtful. Resilient. That's very true for Filipinos. Kindness. Yeah. Kind. This is very common to every one of us. And I hope those who are not responding on the chat box are trying to answer some of the activities in this identity wheel. And we go to the final one. Okay, can you share us 3 adjectives to describe yourself? Okay, 3 adjectives, just one word or one adjective. Simple. Good listener, loving. All right, shy, kind, delish. Wow, that is an adjective. Friendly, lively, and courageous. I love that, delicious. It's so funny. Brave. Okay, and risk taker. Okay, proactive. Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for participating in our Identities Wheel activity. Lastly, in this wheel, you're going to write your name. So if you want to do this activity in your class, this is one great example of activity we can use to know more about our students or our friends. Okay. Thank you for participating. Now let's move on to the next part. Okay, so while we are doing this activities wheel, for us teachers and for us who are trying to understand other cultures, we need to also practice active listening and active reading. Okay, there are 7 steps to achieving active listening and active reading. Okay, successful communication, whether in a classroom, during a private conversation, or during high-level diplomatic talks, requires all parties to listen to each other. The term active listening is used to describe a set of techniques we can use to make sure we are listening well. As we continue, these techniques do not apply only to oral communication. Active listening techniques are also powerful when applied to written forms of communication as well. Have you heard of active listening before? The expression active listening is used in 3 main fields: counseling, training, conflict, or business and conflict resolution. Okay, in other words, situations where it is extremely important for the listener to fully hear what other speakers are saying. Traditionally, techniques for active listening have been developed for speaking contexts. However, most of them can be applied to our situation. That is, we can use active listening techniques when we are communicating through written discussion boards. On the next slides, present 7 techniques of active listening that you can apply in our online discussion boards, as well as in other contexts in your life. Okay, later, if you want to participate, you can write in our chat box. Okay, let's begin exploring the number 1. Use your full attention to read the posts. Okay, when reading, make sure you are not distracted. This includes not listening to the radio, watching television, or having conversations. Try to be fully present when you are reading. Clear your mind and try not to think other things. If you are having a difficult time concentrating, try reading out loud. Okay, next one. Reflect before responding. Being an active listener requires self-awareness. Before you respond to what someone has written, reflect. This is basically the thing that we need to do on social media. Think about your immediate reactions. What judgments are you making? Are your reactions going to be helpful for the person you are responding to? Is it something that needs to be said? Will your response bring greater awareness to the person that posted? Before offering feedback, perhaps clarify the post. The third one is make sure you understood what the other person wrote or said. Sometimes it is necessary to be careful how you express what you say. They may be because you are not sure if you have completely understood what the other person is saying, or you are worried that the other person may not be receptive to what you want to say. If it is necessary to clarify what the person has written, try asking questions. For example, are you saying that? Or I'm not like this or like that? Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, these are clarificatory questions. It is also appropriate to you can introduce your restating or summary wrote. Okay, example, let's see if I'm clear about this. Or so it's or let me see if I understand. Like that, restating or summarizing. If it seems like an emotional topic, you might want to try, this is what I think I hear you saying. Or you appear to be feeling, and then state the emotion of the person. All right, the next one is to recognize the emotional side. Okay, these are some phrases that we can use to consider or recognize the emotional sides. Example, this may seem really important to you, or you appear to be willing or to be feeling. That sounds really frustrating, and then state the emotion. Okay, the next one is to offer alternatives. Another way to understand someone is to offer alternatives to what they are saying. For example, Is it possible that, or I wonder if, and then state your alternative. Would you agree with this idea? You can use these phrases to check understanding, take the other person's ideas further, or perhaps to take them in a new direction. When you take in their ideas further, you show them implications or meanings or outcomes of what they are saying. These may be implications that they understand but did not say, or they may be implications that they have not thought about yet. When you suggest taking the other person's ideas in a new direction, you offer an interpretation that is different from theirs. And the next one is to share your point of view, knowledge, or experience. You can share information, observations, insights, and experiences. You can use these phrases. I have also experienced this when like that and like this. Or on social media, you can say, your post reminded me of, and I noticed that. Okay. And next one is to request more information. Often we ask for more information. We can get deeper and more meaningful information, and this can make the discussion more meaningful. Or you may just be curious about their experience and want to know more. In either case, some useful expressions to ask for more information are, can you tell me more about your experience? I'm curious about your post. Or can you tell me more about what do you think would happen if like this and like that? Okay, now, no matter what technique you use to respond, always remember to be respectful of the other person and be honest and open. With this, we can avoid conflict and misunderstanding. May it be towards our students, towards our co-teachers, or in our personal life, with our family members, or with our friends in the community. So basically, please remember that active listening and active reading are the following. So you use your full attention to read a post, reflect before responding, make sure you understood what the other person wrote, recognize the emotional side, offer alternatives, share your point of view or knowledge or experience, and finally, request more information. There is no mistake or no problem in asking or requesting for more information to make you understand more. And that ends my presentation for today. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you'll get an idea of what is culture and how to be critically thinking, or to be a critical thinkers towards culture. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sir Ian, or Ian, Sir J. Ian Capungan. Virtual clap for you, sir.
Kasi mayroong Ayan, nanlilito siya dapat J. Ayan Loquinario Capungan. Ana.
Opo. J. Ian.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. I hope you learned.
Oy, maayo kay oy, ang imong auntie naa siya nagbabay-babay si Auntie
I saw her.
Edna Loquinario Velches.
Identities Wheel.
Yeah. And we will go to Cambodia soon.
Welcome to Cambodia.
Sige na, April.
Okay. Sir Lito, okay ba yung naagrihan natin, sir, that after the open forum, we will award the certificate, or we can have
Ngayon na lang ang certificate. Yung open forum na lang after sa talk ni Ma'am Jane.
Okay, sige po. Sir Ian, please, sir. Sir Ian Morante, can we have the presentation of certificate for Sir J. Ian Capungan? Ayan. So, certificate of recognition and grateful recognition for his valuable and unwavering support. He extended as resource speaker of the webinar for effective distance education for social science teachers during turbulent times, held on November 8, 2020, via Google Meet at General Santos City. Given this 8th day of November 2020 at General Santos City, Philippines, signed Romelito G. Flores, SO5, Schools Division Superintendent. Certificate of recognition is proudly presented to JENL Capungan. Thank you, Sir
Thank
Ian.
you, Ayan. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm virtually receiving the certificate.
I-send namin sa email mo.
Ipaanod na lang daw sa South China Sea.
Sige, we will. We will. Thank you, Ayan. Thank you, Sir
You're
J.
welcome.
Ayan. Salamat. Salamat.
Okay, so that's it. Our first speaker for today's webinar. So, bilis and brief and concise ang binigay na
Yes.
Sir Ian. Then, if you have questions, teachers, later, Sir Ian will cater your questions right after the talk of this second speaker we have. Okay? So, isahin na lang daw po natin later ang open forum. Okay, so we are ready. So I am ready now to introduce to you our second speaker for this webinar. Sir Ian? Okay, there you go. As you can see in our presentation, very beautiful, very fresh, very young, no? Our second speaker. Okay, our second speaker is a Master of Education in Early Childhood Educator, CIA, First International School. Same with our first speaker kanina, from the Kingdom of Cambodia. And to talk about the best practices of teaching and learning social studies, the Cambodia experience, here with us today is Miss Jeane Bomowi. Good morning, Ma'am Jeane.
Good morning po.
Good morning.
Good morning po, fresh from Cambodia. It's nice to meet you. It's nice to meet everyone here. And it's nice to have me today. Thank you so much for having me today. And sana po, everyone's feeling good pa rin after that 1 hour talk from Jay. Hello?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you po.
Oh, okay. So, pwede na po ako mag-present?
Yes, Ma'am Jeane, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Good morning po sa lahat. All right, there you go. Good morning po. Okay, so I think I'm ready to start. And I will be talking today about teaching social studies to young learners in Cambodia, but not necessarily here, just here in Cambodia. So before that, I would like to introduce myself. I am Jeane Bomowi. I am also a Filipino. And yes, my surname is pronounced Bomowi. And I'm a primary school teacher here in Cambodia, specifically at our school, CIA First International School. But I came from the Cordillera Administrative Region from Mountain Province. So, isa po akong Igorot. Pero nakakapag-Tagalog po. So, today, I might or accidentally speak my language, but my apologies. Though I will be using English and Tagalog. Okay, po, to start with, what is social studies? Alam ko po that most of us here na joining this webinar are social studies teachers. So what to you is social studies? Could you mind to send in the comments or write or type in the comment? What is social studies to you? And not the definition in the dictionary. Anybody? Okay, so to go with that, it says here that social studies can also be referred to as social sciences. It's a field which deals with human behavior, relationships, resources, and institutions. Yes, very good, Ma'am Maria. It deals with human relationship, interactions towards people. Yes, thank you. And also relationships, resources of countries and communities, and also includes institutions. Okay, specific topics within social studies that are studied in school include geography, anthropology, economics, history, sociology, political science, and civics. So, yun po yung ating sibika at kultura sa ating Philippine educational system. All right. So that's social studies. We have a lot of specific definitions for this question, but I would love to see them in the comments. Okay, next. What is the purpose of teaching social studies? Social studies about human society. Yes, yes. Thank you, sir. Our next question. What is the purpose of teaching social studies? I would love to see your answers here because I know you're social studies teachers out there. So I would love to see what you would like to say. Awareness to society and community. Thanks, Mom Eds. Yes, it is. That's one purpose of teaching social studies. Actually, it's also a main purpose to help young people make informed and reasoned decisions for the public good as citizens of culture. Yes, thank you, ma'am. Okay, I know that you have a lot of good ideas there. I just would like to share to you that the primary purpose of social studies is to help young people make informed and reasoned decisions for the public good as citizens of a culturally diverse, democratic society in an interdependent world. So yes, thank you. I would really love to read your comments, but I can get back to it later. Okay, that primary purpose that I just read is actually from the National Council for Social Studies. And to make children aware of society. Yes, yes, thank you. Okay. Moving forward, here it is. And you can have this later anyway to teach students to become a good citizen. Yes, ma'am. That's the purpose. Good citizen, not just to their own country, but to other cultures as well. Enable learners to become good citizen because we're living in a diverse society. Yes. Yes, po. Thank you so much. That's the purpose of social studies. And I know that as social studies teachers, you know it much more than I do. Okay, anyway, let's get to this question. Why? Why is social studies important for students? I'd like to see your ideas about this question. Why is social studies important for students? Why is social studies important for students? Reasoning and decision making, yes. Enable them to be more productive citizen in our country, yes. It helps students understand development that are taking place in society to enable pupils to understand, participate, and make informed decisions. Yes, thank you, ma'am. Okay, so in the next slides, we will be Yes, thank you, ma'am. For students to know their roots, very good. It will make them prepare to be productive citizen and be involved. For learners to be aware of, they can learn other culture and traditions. Yes, thank you. Okay, so you've got great comments in there. So from this slide on, we will be talking about the importance of social studies to help students become better citizens. Yes, social studies for students. And students learn skills through social studies that help them succeed in further education as well as life. And here are amazing ways learning social studies and how it benefits kids and the society together. So we have number one. It says here better reading and learning. Social studies is one area in education where content integration is the key. Students are given reading material that corresponds with the current learning topics, and giving reading materials in context helps students become better readers. So that's the content integration, and also the reading materials should be current and they should be adaptive to the current learning topics. And they also become better learners because they are asked to use analysis, critical thinking, and writing to show understanding, as was thoroughly discussed by Jay earlier. Analysis and critical thinking. So studying culture and also studying social studies leads to better reading and learning to our students. Okay, and number two, It's citizen responsibilities and values. Yes, this is very vivid as a purpose or importance of learning social studies because young people contribute positively to society and engage in discourse and also thrive in a democratic society. And how do we do this? We have to expose them to the topics and aspects of history and life that made society the way it is. Students need an understanding of history, political science, culture, and all humanities for them to be able to understand why it is important to be a good citizen. And as you see in the picture, it starts with being patriotic, singing the national anthem, the pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. And the third one, it says here, cultural understanding. Students should be exposed to cultures far beyond what they experience personally every day. Not every student has the opportunity to interact with other cultures on a daily basis. We need students to learn about understand and appreciate cultural differences if we expect them to have meaningful interactions with people of all backgrounds in the future. So that's integration and also exposure to other cultures. Paano natin to nagagawa in the Philippines? Wherein we're all Filipinos. We can, in a province or in a town, there are different practices from each barangay or from each group of towns. They have different or similar traditions and sometimes different dialects even. So we can integrate that and expose it to our students. Here in Cambodia, specifically in my school, there's a lot of kids from different culture. So it is easy for us to expose the kids or our students to other culture. But in a place wherein they belong in the same citizenship or nationality, then different traditions from different places within the country would be also a good exposure to the students. And then number 4, importance is the economic education, which is also taken with high regards. Economics is a crucial part of social studies, whether studied on its own or as a part of history, anthropology, or political science. By learning economics, young people understand how their financial decisions have an impact on their future, as well as the future of the society. So it's not just for their personal impact or the impact on themselves only, but also in the whole society. It means that kung paano tayo nag-i-spend as a person, it affects the whole community that we are in and also the whole country that we are in. So the students have to understand the impact of their financial decisions. Number 5. Whoa. Okay, so this was the discussion of Jay earlier. And it says here we should be able to evaluate others' decisions, make connections between influences and circumstances, and learn from others' mistakes. So it's not just having our own idea, but we also have to make connections. Anyway, this was thoroughly discussed earlier. So I think we can go to the next importance, which is number 6, real world understanding. Our students, as I said earlier, need to be exposed with other traditions, cultures, and it's okay for the bigger ones, for our bigger students, because it's easy for them to mingle around. But for our early kids or early childhood group, they have to be taken out as well so that they will be exposed to other places, cultures, and our lessons should include the events around the world. I know that this has been embedded in our curriculum in the Philippines already, so it's not a new thing. Okay, number 7. This is very important, most especially with the just concluded election in the US. Okay, it says here political skills. From social studies classes, students learn about government, political ideas, country, economy and resources, and more. Students gain political skills by analyzing and evaluating existing systems and imaging the future of the place in which they live. Authorities, this includes authorities in school and in the community that we teach in school. The class rules, that's a very big it's just the beginning of political skills when they go inside the classroom, and they will learn who's the authority in the room or who's the leader in the room. And also in the community, as early as 5 or 6 years old, here we're exposing them with who are the leaders in the community are, and who are the community helpers that we need to take regard with. And also, once inside the classroom, we expose our students with the class rules, because this includes the laws that they need to follow. And also, we have to expose to them, or we have them understand that they have rights, but with the right comes the responsibility. And we also expose them with economy and resources. Political skills are needed to be able to have good economy and well-managed resources. Okay? So that's the need of political skills. And the next importance is respect. History. We were taught, maybe in my generation, we were taught to respect history, and also it's embedded in our curriculum. So I think this is a very clear importance of social studies as well. History is what made the world the way it is, and it is essential that people study it in order to have an appreciation for and understanding of the way the world works. Learning about history is what makes it possible to learn from the past and plan for the future. So we learn the past events, And we should be able to analyze its impact to the future. So we learn from the past. Okay. All right. So those are the main importance of social studies, of teaching social studies to the kids. Okay. So before we go to that, I would like to share this one. Making sense of the world, social studies for young students. One of the reasons for teaching young people social studies is for them to be able to participate civilly in a democratic society. So, napakabigat ng participate civilly. Meaning, they should be able to cooperate and work interdependently with other people from different origin, from different political views, from different religion, from different customs and traditions. Children start as early as kindergarten to understand the world around them, and schools should follow suit and start teaching social studies concepts such as communication, critical thinking, and culture as early as possible. I know in our Philippine education system, we're starting from kindergarten. DepEd starts from kindergarten, and of course, we have the daycare system. So I know that even in our preschool classes, or the main purpose of having preschool classes is to teach the small kids to socialize, because the formal education starts when in when they are in kindergarten. So in our school, we teach social studies as early as they're 3 years old, because we have our preschool or pre-K classes, and we still teach this, the very simple concepts of social studies. All right, so what is the importance of social studies in the curriculum? I would like to hear your thoughts about this. So you can type in our chat box or in the comments if you're in YouTube Live or in Facebook Live. Please feel free to share your ideas about the importance of social studies in the curriculum. And we would love to see your ideas later. The importance of social studies in the curriculum. All children who go through the school curriculum, okay, from Mom Priscilla, it is a venue. Yes, very good, thank you. Okay. All right. So let me just share this. All children who go through the school curriculum become something when they graduate. And no matter what that something is, they will need to interact with others from different cultural and socio-economic backgrounds. A correction for this. Even if they don't graduate, as long as they attend school, they will need to interact with others from different cultural and socio-economic backgrounds. So nakagraduate man sila o hindi, we are forced as individuals or citizens, we are needed to interact with others from different cultural and socioeconomic backgrounds. Kaya, as early as we can talk or we can mingle with other people, students should be or kids should be given social studies lessons already. Students must study how society works and how people work in a society in order for it all to work once they enter society after graduation. All right. So in our school curriculum is designed the understanding by design framework. So I have the links also to our school website if you'd like to visit it to see this by detail or to see more information about this. But I do think that our way of teaching in the Philippines is synonymous with this because this is the deductive way of teaching wherein we start with the standards, the understandings, and listing the skills that we want our students to gain after studying under the curriculum. And then we make our performance tasks or we prepare our performance tasks, our assessments. And from those assessments, that's when we plan activities or lessons. So that's how we are applying our understanding by design is UBD framework. And every teacher who joins our school will be trained rigidly with this. And it's easy for Filipinos, for licensed teachers or teachers who graduated from the Philippines to work with this framework because it's basically how we were taught and what we studied in our education degree. So, tayong mga Pilipino, ang bilis nating maka-adapt with this understanding by design na framework. It's actually the deductive way of teaching. Okay, so qualities of purposeful social studies. Okay, the question here is, how do we make our social studies lessons effective? Ito na, ang how do we apply or how do we make the activities in our classroom effective in teaching social studies to the kids? So that's why it says here qualities of purposeful social studies lessons. Any idea about that? Please share what your strategies are, what you're doing in your classroom, in your own lessons. How do we make our social studies lessons effective? By using gamified strategies. Yes, Ma'am Priscilla. Make your lessons interactive. Yes, Jay, thank you. Role-playing activities. Yes, very good. I know, alam na alam niyo po ang mga ito kasi you do it every day at school. Group discussion. Yes, this is very important. Engaging students to the different kinds of interactive activities. Yes, Ma'am Marie. Very good. Thank you. Use visual, make hands-on. Yes, this is very good, Ma'am Milagros. Dramatization. Ma'am Maria, thank you. Engage them in true-to-life situations. Yes, Sir Ayan, to make learning effectively so subjects maximize. Yes, yes, ma'am, thank you. And those who are in YouTube and FB Live, we would love to see your comments. Incorporate movements. Yes, Ma'am Milagros. Connect past from present. Yes, Ma'am Catherine. Field trips. Yes, Ma'am Maria. De Leon, yes. Field trips. Okay. I know these strategies are do read aloud. Yes. Are your expertise as social studies teachers? But this is just a refresher to all of us how to make our social studies lessons effective. I would like to see all your comments later, and I would suggest you put your comments in phrases, not really long sentences, so that it's easier for us to read fastly. Okay, first, how do we make our social studies lessons effective? First is, it says here, we have to make it meaningful. Meaningful. Social studies should be meaningful to students. Teachers should embrace the natural interests of students and plan topics around those interests. This can be achieved when students are offered the opportunity to link their classroom activities to real life experiences. Yes, very good. That's why your answers earlier are really correct. That's how meaningful it is, because if they cannot relate the lessons in their real lives, then it's a problem. It's just a useless lesson, especially here in Cambodia, that we teach culture to very small kids. And if we don't make our lessons meaningful or linked to the real life, they will forget it just a second after you said it. Or just in the evening or in the afternoon that they go to their Khmer or to their Cambodian classes, then they will forget everything you said during your English class. So we have to make it meaningful. And number two, integrative. Integrating all aspects of life is key to a successful social studies curriculum. Not only should current events and other classes be integrated, but also aspects of daily life as well. Daily life. Every moment is a teachable moment, not only during social studies lessons. Okay? So it's integrative. So all aspects of life, psychological, physical, physiological, emotional, everything spiritual, it should be integrated in our social studies lessons. Okay, so and that's why you have to be knowledgeable. For example, in the Philippines, sometimes you come from a different province. Oh, but now not much. But if you come from a community with a little bit different tradition to the community that you are engaged in or teaching, then You need to learn what are the daily life, what is the daily life of the people in the community that you are working with. Okay, next we have number 3 is value based. We have to make our lessons value based. Parang sa atin lang yung nakakonect siya sa lessons natin ang values. But in here, it says that key values of democracy are opportunity, equality, justice, and freedom of speech. These values should be echoed throughout all parts of social studies. So all parts, politics, economics, and everything. So we should have equality, opportunity, justice, and freedom of speech. Freedom of speech. I don't want to comment on that. It's up to us teachers to regulate that in our classrooms. Okay. And the third one, we have to make our lessons, the fourth one, we have to make our lessons challenging. We have to challenge our kids to make them engaged. Teachers can challenge children in social studies classes in ways they aren't or can't be challenged in other classes. Paano kaya natin nagagawa ito? How can we challenge them in our social studies subject na hindi nagagawa ng math teacher, English teacher, science teacher? I know we can think of a lot of strategies for this because in social studies, it's a very interesting subject. Social studies for me is a very interesting subject because it includes how we live our lives. It's not just to count, to multiply, to add, or to know the body parts, but it includes how to use these, everything, to be able to live in this society that we are in now. Okay, so in-depth critical analysis, yes ma'am, it's critical analysis, should be implemented. Getting students to think and reflect will help them engage and challenge them to care about what's going on around them. So the non-stop hows and whys. We keep embedding that in our lessons, and also they have to give evidences on their on their comments or ideas that they present in the class. And the next is we have to make our lessons active. These are your answers earlier also. Get students active and engaged with debates, discussions, role-playing, projects, and simulations. This is one area of school where kids should really get into it. So we have the debates, as you have given me earlier, and the discussions, very important. And in the discussions, we can do it as pair, we can do it as group as well. In our lessons, we always make sure that in every lesson there are total active participation techniques, TPTs, and we do discussions, role-playing, just making sure that all students are engaged and active during the lesson. Projects and also simulations, yes. Okay, So those basically are the most important things to consider when making your lesson plans or preparing the activities for your classes. And I know that you're doing this already. If not, then we have to refresh ourselves again to be able to produce kids who are ready to express themselves, but also willing to cooperate with other people. Okay? All right, so the next part that I will be talking about is the habits of mind. These are real life skills that we embed in every lesson, whether that is social studies, English, science, math, physical education, swimming, music, arts. We embed these habits of mind. That's why uh, in every lesson, we should at least use one, but not limited to one. As long as you see that a situation arises and you need to use these habits of mind. So I have 16 habits of mind here. And the first one, okay, so the question with that, before we proceed to number one, how would you like your students to be in the future? Or after they finish your grade level? Or after teaching them for 1 year, how would you like your students to be? Would you like to share your ideas in the comments? Successful, yes, Ma'am Christy, yes. Yes, successful. And we have different meanings of successful. Whether successful in one aspect or another aspect, as long as they're successful. To be good and responsible citizen, yes, Ma'am Maria. Prepared for the next level, yes, Ma'am Priscilla. Not just with knowledge, but also with life skills. Proud but humble citizens. Yeah, with self-confidence, Ma'am Miraling. Nationalistic, yes, Ma'am Army Joy. Productive citizen in society, yes, Ma'am Sarah. Responsible, Irene matured. Ma'am Vita can be able to compete with other learners, yes. Express themselves, that's very important, to express themselves whether in writing or orally. Willing to unlearn, learn, and relearn ways. Wow, that's deep, Sir Ian. Okay. All right, let's proceed to number one, which is persisting. Okay. Don't worry. I will be able to furnish this to Sir Lito, and his team will be able to share it to you later. Okay, so first, yes,
Thank you.
yes, Paul. Okay, so first one, we have persisting. With the child-friendly version, it's I keep trying. If you ask your kids what is persisting, they should be able to say, don't give up. Don't say no. So I keep trying. And this is a very, very important habit of mind or a life skill, especially to very small kids, because now it's very different that we have to tame their self-confidence. We have to build their self-confidence as early as they are. So first is I keep trying, stick to it, persevering in task through to completion, remaining focused, looking for ways to reach your goal when stuck, not giving up. Okay, the next one is managing impulsivity. I'm sorry, there. Managing impulsivity. It says, the kid-friendly version says, I think before I act. Take your time, thinking before acting, remaining calm, thoughtful, and deliberative. By the way, these habits of mind, we start them as early as kindergarten. We introduce it to them, and we repeat and follow through until senior high school. So all the teachers in our school from kindergarten to senior high school has to embed these life skills or the habits of mind in their lessons. If you observe classes, you will see that this habit of mind is being introduced during in the beginning of the lesson, being revisited during the lesson, and also at the end of the lesson. So it's embedded in our lessons. Because in the UBD framework, our main goal is to produce kids who are able to live in this society. So not just with the knowledge or the skills, but they also have the real life tools to be able to interact or move forward in the future without much problems. Okay, so that's number two, managing impulsivity. And number three, it's listening with understanding and empathy. This is a very, very important skill, even as teachers, even as adults. Listening with understanding and empathy, meaning you're not selfish. I listen carefully to understand what someone is saying and feeling. So I know we train our kids to do this. And it says here, understand others, devoting mental energy to another person's thoughts and ideas. Make an effort to perceive another's point of view and emotions. So if someone is rude to you, understand first before reacting. So number two, so you understand and try to be try to be in their shoes as well, and then apply habit of mind number two. Think before you act. Okay. And then the next one is sometimes I try different way, or adult version is thinking flexibly. It says here, look at it another way, being able to change perspectives, generate alternatives, and consider options. Don't be one-sided and locked on one idea. Next, is thinking flexibly. Oh, it's thinking about your thinking. Number 5, it's thinking about your thinking. Kid version is I'm aware of what I'm thinking. So even without speeding out what's on your mind, you should be aware what's going on in your mind. In one of the prayers, we ask forgiveness, even if we did not say it, or even if we did not do it, but we thought of it. Sabi nga nila, yung kung minsan kung galit na galit ka na ay pinatay mo siya ng ilang beses sa mind mo lang. But of course, we cannot do it. Okay. So we have to teach our kids to be aware of what they're thinking. And next is striving for accuracy. Kid version, I try many ways to check my work. So in this, how do we embed this in our lessons? We give opportunities or we give chances to our students. They might be rushing earlier while doing their work, or they might be distracted, or they don't feel good the moment they were doing the work. So we give them chances, not just you were wrong this time, you're wrong. But of course, there are exceptions, especially quizzes. But in quizzes, if they left one item unanswered, maybe they missed it. So that's the time you can give leeways or exceptions and try to ask them. So giving chances for our students to revisit their work. So I try many ways to check my work. And then next, we have questioning and problem posing. Kid version, I ask thoughtful questions. In my class, I have very small kids. Sometimes I have kids with giant minds. I call it giant minds because of YouTube and social media, they're exposed. So they have a lot of ideas. And sometimes even just a word from your lesson could trigger those ideas. So I have a rule in my class. Sometimes I tell them that if we're talking about dogs, are we going to talk about cars? Are you going to ask questions about cars? I ask them that so that we will be focused. Though it's also good that we are relating everything, but like all of a sudden a student blurts out a question or a statement which is not really related to the lesson. So we ask thoughtful questions. We teach them the skill of questioning and problem posing. Okay, the next is applying past knowledge to new situations. I use what I have learned in new situations. This is very important. And in this one, with our curriculum, we have to apply what we have learned not just in the same subject, but also to other subjects as well. So we interconnect the other subjects, what we learned in the other subjects to other subjects. So it says here, I use what I have learned in new situations. Okay, moving forward, the next one is thinking and communicating with clarity and precision. If you're teaching maybe not just small kids, but also the younger kids, this is what we train them for, thinking and communicating with clarity and precision, because sometimes they don't know how to express themselves. So we tell them to make their communications clarity and precise. Okay, be clear. Strive for accurate communication in both written and oral form, avoiding overgeneralizations, distortions, deletions, and exaggerations. All right, and the next one is creating, imagining, and innovating. Try a different way, generating new and novel ideas, fluency, originality. So you imagine, you have to think, create it, you should be able to make it, or innovate. innovate existing inventions or ideas. And next, we have responding with wonderment and awe. I search for something amazing in everything I see. This is a very good habit of mine for us to be positive. Okay, so we search something amazing in everything we see, and not just focus on the negative ones. And the next is taking responsible risks. Venture out, being adventuresome, living on the edge of one's competence, try new things constantly. So we start training our kids with this habit of mind because it's very applicable when they grow up as adults like us. Kid version, I take safe risks. Because if you try to take the risk and you venture out, you be adventurous, you also have to be careful and be responsible for taking those adventures or other things that we do aside from what we are programmed to do. As teachers as well, don't just be focused with lesson planning every night. Focus on trying to expose yourself, improve yourself, and get out from your comfort zone. Char. Anyway, and then the next one is finding humor. So we should start this from being young, start teaching this to our students so that when they grow up like us, they will try to laugh every day. I think I practice that so my wrinkles are not showing. Joke. I try to laugh every day so that always looking young and fresh. So my age doesn't show. Joke. Okay, finding humor. It's a very important habit of mine. It's a very important life skill because stress can make you sick. COVID will get you if you don't find humor, if you don't try to laugh every day. Agree? Okay. So it says here, laugh a little, finding the whimsical, incongruous, and unexpected. Being able to laugh at oneself as well. Sometimes we make mistakes, or sometimes we find ourselves humorous. We can at least laugh at ourselves as well. And we have here the 15th is thinking interdependently. Okay. This is very important with our students. I work well with others. That's the kid-friendly version. So the pictures shows what is it all about, and they should be able to work with others. There are kids who cannot really work with others, but that's the time that we as teachers should find strategies to tame our kids to be able to work with others, because they cannot really live in this society, in this life, without getting problems if they cannot work well with others, if they cannot network with others. Okay. Also, us as adults. That's why these habits of mind are embedded in our lessons, or these life skills are being embedded. I know that as teachers, we always bring this up in every opportunity in our classroom, but it's also be good to be reminded and for us to remind our students from the beginning of the lesson to the end. And the last one is remaining open to continuous learning. Ayan na. That's why we are taking webinars. We are taking webinars right now because we are remaining open to continuous learning. And the kid version is I love to learn. I love to learn. What does it mean? Learn from experiences, having humility and pride when admitting we don't know, resisting complacency. In my class, I have some kids, I have experiences that some of my kids, they find it hard to learn, or I mean, to believe someone. That means that they only believe on what they think it is. And if you try to teach them, they have this grumpy attitude. So we start teaching it while they're young, so that when they are big like us, we don't get offended easily when somebody tries to correct us. So these habits of mine that I presented to you, it's embedded, or it's the main reason of our teaching. It's the main reason of our teaching that these are the traits or the behaviors of the students or the people that we want to produce in our classroom. We should always also reflect on ourselves with these habits of mind. Are we as teachers reminding or practicing these habits of mind? These are life skills that are necessary for us to live peacefully. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation. I hope you got something new or something old or refreshed you. So if there are any questions, I think Sir Lito and the team has that part. And I thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you,
so
Ma'am Jean.
much.
Jean,
Salamat.
for
Mabuhay
your
po. And if you have
mabuhay,
questions,
ma'am.
I think they
Mabuhay
have
kayo,
that slot.
Ma'am Jean.
Mhm.
Thank you for your talk about the best practices of teaching and learning social studies, the Cambodia experience. I hope that the future participants have gained knowledge from that presentation of yours, Ma'am Jean. Since our teacher participants now is elementary teachers po, halos. Okay, so meron silang mga makukuhang inputs mula doon, lalong-lalo na on how to deal with the little ones, inside the school. Okay. Kasi iba-iba talagang approach natin when it comes to our students, lalong-lalo na po itong mga maliliit pa, no?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay. So, teacher participants, any questions or what is your takeaway sa talk ni Sir Ian and ni Ma'am Jean ngayon sa ating webinar? Baka po merong gustong share or tanong sa kanilang dalawa. They are free, no, or you are free to ask and they will cater you sa inyong mga questions po. Okay.
Baka satisfied sila masyado. Kung basahin mo gud yung ano nila.
Okay.
May mga tanong daw sabi ni Al sa live stream.
Hindi kasi ako naka-live stream, sir. Hindi ko mabasa.
Pwede ipasa na lang? Pwede ipasa?
Sir J, Sir Mark, pwede bang picturean din ipasa dito sa akin ang ang mga questions or mga take-away ng mga teachers? Ayan, Ma'am Jean and Sir Ian, meron pong question dito si Sir John Mark Javier. Ano po ba ang difference ng educational setting ng Cambodia sa Pilipinas? Yan po ang kanyang question. Sino pong pwedeng
Pwede si Ayan or si Ma'am Jean.
Sir Ian.
Ang pagkakaiba lang ang educational system ng Cambodia.
Wala may question, friend, so far.
Okay. So, live stream
Wala
daw.
question sa sa stream. Puro lang.
Congratulations.
Puro congratulatory lang. Okay, sige. I will...
Basta may answer si Ayan aning question ni Mark ano ang difference ng educational setting ng Cambodia sa Pilipinas. J. Ayan or Ma'am Jean.
Hello.
Hello.
For the question, ano po ba ang difference ng educational setting ng Cambodia sa Pilipinas? Cambodia has been for a long time K-12 in its educational setting. And here, the big difference is that most of the students here are studying half day for their mother tongue language, the Khmer language class. So that's taken half day po yan. And then most of the students go to the public schools to study their Khmer language or the Khmer language. That includes other subjects being taught in Khmer language. In the public school, they have English is taught for only 2 hours a week and French is taught 1 hour a week. So, multilingual po ang educational system dito. And then, students have an option to study more of English and other languages in the afternoon. Nagpapalitan po ang mga estudyante every other month. Sometimes, if they are in the morning sa November, in December, they study in the afternoon. So, nagsishift ang classes. So, yun po ang strategy ng Ministry of Education dito. And most of the students, public or private, have weekend classes, Saturday classes. Yun po, para ma-extend. Ma'am Jean, your take for this question?
Yeah, for that, basically it's what Jay presented, but ang ano kasi dito is, for the public schools, Jay and I are in the private schools. So in the public schools, it's a bit harsher. Their education here is a bit harsher. That's why they're still on the traditional way. For us in the Philippines, we opened up already. But for the public schools here, the teacher is the ultimate authority. Like, they put very high regards to their teachers. Unlike in the Philippines now, because of the child protection policy and all, which is also synonymous with private schools here. That's why you really cannot touch a student. Very active ang child protection policy with the private schools in here. But in the public schools, the teacher has the ultimate authority. Yun yung hindi pa naaalis dito sa public schools. Yun ang nakikita namin. That's why if you see the students, even in the private, kapag yung Khmer teacher nila or yung Cambodian teacher nila, I mean, if yung Cambodian, kung yung Cambodian teacher nila ang kamit nila, grabe yung bowing because they have this way of respect. They put their hands to their noses here, and they really bow to their teachers. But if they meet in private schools that they have the foreigner teachers, natututo na sila not to do that. And parents in private schools already know about the child protection policy, so they are so strong. They're so strong that even just a scratch not done in school can be pointed towards the teachers. But for our education curriculum, I know we're so proud that the curriculum in the Philippines is very much the same, and we are even sometimes more advanced on our curriculum content and our teaching strategies, the principles that we apply there. Kaya ang mga Filipino teachers na pumupunta to other countries are very much equipped with and very easy to adopt with any curriculum that we have in here, because we are, sabi ko nga, yung UBD or yung deductive way is our way there in the Philippines. Though meron ding mga inductive ways as well. That's it po.
Thank you, Ma'am Jean. Sir Ian, thank you po. And I hope that nasagot, Sir Mark, ang question mo mula doon sa mga inputs na binigay ng ating mga speakers.
Okay ba, Sir Aya, Sir Jay, okay ba ang itanong kong when it comes to the salary, mas higher ba ang compensation? Okay. Pwede mag-convert sa Cambodia?
That's one of the reasons why most of the or some are attracted to come and teach in Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam, because the schools here give a very high regard to teaching, and that the salary here is higher as compared to the salary in the Philippines. The only big difference, I'm not gonna give figures, sir, because
Yeah.
to resign and move to Cambodia, but the only big difference with us here working in Cambodia is that we do not have the security of tenure. We are only given contracts. The longest is 2 years, and if you have excellent performance, you can continue, or you can have a renewal of your contract and stay here for longer. Unlike in the Philippines, the salary of teachers are as most, or some have said it's not enough, but you have the security. You can work until you wanted to retire.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
My question, friend, April, sa stream. Natubag na ba ni?
Okay, Sir Ian, meron pong question mula sa ating live streaming.
Yes.
From Helen Abad. Ang question niya is, Sir Jay, ask lang if required pa rin ba mag-prepare ng lesson plan ang mga teachers sa Cambodia?
Okay, yan po ang question, Sir Jay.
Yeah, general answer, yes. We are required to prepare our lesson plans, but our lesson plans are actually embedded in the curriculum. There is already a prepared lesson plan. The management now tells all the teacher to modify your lesson plan to fit in your lesson, because majority of our books here are designed in Western setting. So we try to modify them to accommodate our students based on the need in the cultural aspect. So when I was in the public school, the practice there was to adapt or to make use of the existing lesson plan that is provided with the learner's book. Along with the learner's book comes the teacher's manual, which has everything from every resources that you need. Audio materials, worksheets is already included there. Teachers don't have a problem of bringing things at home to make their lesson plans. Now, the only thing is that the only challenge for the teacher is to modify it to make it applicable in Cambodian settings. As much as
For me,
possible,
okay.
trying to lessen the burden of the teachers in Cambodia. That's the setup when I was in the public school for 3 years. And also, now that I'm back to the private school, it is also quite fulfilling to note that the management of the schools are giving us lesson plans, but it's not that heavy burden. We still have our personal lives to to enjoy while we are doing our lesson. Jean?
I would like to add to that. In my school, we have a very big group of curriculum coordinators. So these curriculum coordinators, they prepare suggested lesson plans, they prepare suggested lessons, activities, and the sharing of the teachers during the years. We compile them and put them in a drive, put them in a system where we can access it. And these curriculum coordinators arrange them every year and put them systematically so that the teachers in each level can access them anytime. So there's no need for us to prepare a lesson plan. It's not compulsory. There are activities already suggested, but they're suggested. It's up to you if you use them or revise them or make your own. And of course, as a teacher, we have to suit those activities or lesson plans depending on our students, because year in year out our students change. Some batches would be faster, some batches would be slower. So, and the needs also, the group of students every year changes. That's why we have to adapt also these suggested lesson plans and activities. That's why that's a very big relief, because our school gives importance with that. Kaya ang dami naming subject coordinators who prepares this for us. And of course, we are part of our evaluation as teachers is to share as well. So if you did a revision, you did a new activity, or you did something or an idea, you are requested to share it, and it's part of your teacher evaluation. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Ma'am Jean, Sir Ian. Thank you po. Okay, any question coming from our participants, teacher participants sa ating Google Meet? Wala na po yata. Okay.
Award the certificate.
Okay, sige.
Before we proceed, Sir Lito, I just would like to end by saying that as social studies teacher, it is still very important for us to immerse ourselves into that specific culture. So once the pandemic is over, we are inviting all of you to please, the nearest next possible culture that you can immerse is to come to Cambodia and see with your own eye the exact face of Angkor Wat, which is only a picture in our Araling Panlipunan books.
Yes.
The more that we immerse ourselves into this culture, the more that we can share to our students based on our experiences, and this gives a good critical thinking ability for our students. So when the pandemic is over, we are inviting you to come to Cambodia.
And
Yes.
we will cater
And don't
you.
hesitate to make us a call or send us a message on Messenger. Thank you very much, everyone.
Hopefully, no, we will go. I already texted Dr. Velches and those who are interested. You know, yung experience namin, our first visit with Angkor Wat, ano siya, hindi siya parang kulang ang isang araw, no, na maakyat yung mga floors kasi ang dami.
Opo.
Tapos ang taas, no, medyo, kaya ko pa kaya yan, ayan, 50, mga 50 plus na ako niyan. Pero ang ganda, I'll tell you, just so that.
Kaya ng katawan.
The same lang ba ang entrance? $20 na maikot mo na lang?
This time.
Nag-increase po.
It's now
okay.
$30 per day. So you need to save. Really, really good.
Wow. Okay, but anyway, your experience when you see and visit Angkor Wat ay hindi talaga mabayaran. Tama si Ayan kasi we need to go out to other countries to be of one also. To experience what we are teaching inside the book, kasi mas maganda yung magtuturo ka at saka napuntahan mo yung lugar na sinasabi natin. Hopefully, God willing, we can go there. And Sir Ryan,
with the
ASEAN
integration right now, it's not
ASEAN integration.
So
hopefully.
Yeah, see you soon. Thank you
for the invitation.
Okay, thank you so much, Sir Ian and Ma'am Jean. But before we end this session, let me read to you the certificate of recognition for our second speaker. Certificate of recognition and grateful recognition for her valuable enabling support. She extended as resource speaker of the webinar for effective distance education for social science teachers during turbulent times, held on November 8, 2020, via Google Meet at General Santos City, given the 8th day of November 2020 at General Santos City, Philippines. Signed, Romilito G. Flores, CESO 5, our school's division superintendent. Certificate of recognition is proudly presented to Jean Bomowi. Congratulations, ma'am, and thank you so much.
Thank you po. Thank you po for having me today.
Salamat. Thank you, Lord. We're done with the morning session. We're also excited in the afternoon with our speaker from Japan and from Bangladesh. I hope you can stay with us. Thank you, Ma'am Jean. Jay, thank you
so much po.
You're welcome, Sir Lito.
Yeah.
We'll see you again this afternoon, but we will be watching live on YouTube so others can also join the Google Meet.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you po. Okay.
Thank you so much. Mabuhay po.
Mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Bye. Happy Sunday, everyone.
Okay, so that's it. That ends our first session for today's webinar. We had our speakers, Sir J. Ian Capungan and Ma'am Jean Bomowi, fresh from the Kingdom of Cambodia. So later, by 1 o'clock p.m., we will be having our third session with our third speaker. And the last speaker we have is a speaker from Bangladesh. So are you all excited? I just hope that I can hear you answering dito sa ating Google Meet and also sa ating streaming sa ating YouTube. Sir Lito, meron ka pa pong announcement bago tayo mag-end sa ating morning session?
This is just a reminder. Please don't forget to like our FB page or YouTube page because that is one of the major requirements before you can receive your certificate of participation. Please help also sharing the link and the link to your co-teachers, either in the elementary, high school, or even in the senior high school. For senior high school, even your students for junior high school, please allow them also to be a part of this endeavor for social scientist teachers group and for social scientist students group. Thank you.
Yes, and marami na po tayong viewers sa ating live streaming, Doc Lito. Umabot na po sila ng 200 plus, no? Knowing the number of our elementary teachers, very active, very supportive.
Kulang pa yan siya April kasi ang elementary na dapat nagtuturo is 900 plus, hindi pa siya nakakalahati.
Hindi pa siya nakakalahati.
I'm still sad.
Sige lang sir, marami pa pong makakapasok yan later. Okay?
Yeah, this afternoon dapat umabot na yan siya ng 1,000 sana para yung ma-extend natin ba yung ano natin ba na ay may ginagawa pa lang ng international webinars ang Araling Panlipunan. Kasi hopefully we can have another 2 before the year end. We can invite another speakers from other country again to be of help to us teachers despite of the pandemic.
Yes, sir. Maybe sir, some of the teachers are having their church activity kaya hindi naka-join ngayong morning. So we're hoping na makapasok sila or maka-stream sila later this afternoon. Do not forget to please like and follow and comment sa ating live streaming because that will be the basis for your certificate, no? Especially doon po sa hindi pa po naka-register, please do register and take note, ayusin po ang paglagay ng ating email addresses para po hindi magkaroon ng problema upon sending you the certificate. Ayan, send na po ni Sir Ayan Morante ang registration link sa ating chat box.
Tapos mamaya April meron meron ding evaluation. Kasali pa rin yung evaluation pala nila. Na-send ko na kay Jaser, kay Mark at kay Ayan yung evaluation natin na bigay ng monitoring team.
Yes, sir. And Sir Ayan Morante, please sir, paki-check daw po ng ating registration link. Need permission daw po yung iba, hindi na po makapasok. Baka po na ni Sir Felix or kung sino mo yung gumawa ng ating registration link.
Si Ayan ang gumawa, si Ayan.
Okay po. Sige, Sir Ayan. Okay. Ma'am, ang sabi po daw po dito is please use your DepEd email account. DepEd email lang po ang pwedeng makapasok sa ating registration link. Kung DepEd email ang gamit, hindi na po kailangan ng permission, diretso na po pasok sa ating registration link. Okay, kung wala na pong mga announcement and anything na sasabihin, okay, we will have the break muna, the lunch break. I encourage the participants not to leave the Google Meet kasi baka mahirapan na naman po tayo makapasok mamaya. Just stand by and by 1 p.m. Later, we will start our part 2 of this webinar. Okay? So lunch po muna tayo, magpahinga, mag-refresh para po mamaya. I'll see you later.
Thank you. Thank you.